Hello everyone. My activism story started back in the year 2020 when COVID had just happened. During this time, there was a nationwide lockdown that did not allow people to go outside. So basically, people weren't able to go to work, go to school, or just go on about their daily lives and activities like they would in the past. So since a lot of things changed, activism was one of the things that changed as well. Traditional protests weren't really allowed during this time because again, people weren't allowed to go outside and be like around each other. Um, so social media became very popular during this time, especially because everybody was stuck inside and they wanted to use social media to stay entertained or to also stay engaged and informed of like certain things that were going on during that time. So social media became one of the main platforms for activism. People would use social media to post pictures, videos, um, to also create virtual rallies, or to just gather people together online. So one day I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw a very gruesome video of the killing of George Floyd. So this video showed a police officer kneeling on George Floyd's neck, and he eventually killed him. And um, just to give a little background on what happened, George Floyd was at a convenience store and he tried to pay with a $20 bill, but the store owner said that the bill was fake, and that's when he called the police on George Floyd. And when the police arrived, George Floyd told them that the $20 bill was in fact not faked and that he did not know why they were trying to arrest him. And since he was trying to resist the arrest, that is when one of the police officers threw him on the ground and he put his knee on his neck. And that's when people around started to record the incident because they started to become very concerned with the way that the police officer was treating George Floyd. And in this video, you see George Floyd on the ground with the officer kneeling on his neck. And you also hear George Floyd screaming, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And the police officer did not care about this whatsoever. And in the video goes on for about 9 minutes. So it was 9 minutes of this police officer on top of George Floyd's neck until he could no longer breathe and he eventually passed away. When this video was posted, it went viral on social media, and this made a lot of social movements arise. One of those social movements was the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement is basically a social movement that was created to try to combat social injustices and for African Americans to be able to gain equality in the US. One of the main issues that the Black Lives Matter movement is trying to combat is police brutality against African Americans. So even though traditional protests weren't allowed during this time, people were still able to protest against the police brutality that happened against George Floyd. I participated in a protest myself, but it wasn't like a typical protest. Me and my friends, we actually created these signs. One of them said, "Justice for George Floyd." The other one said, "If there's no justice, there's no peace." And then there was one that said, "Black Lives Matter." And basically, we got into my car and we showed the signs through the outside of our window. I saw online that there was going to be a protest at Manhattan Beach. So we drove to Manhattan Beach and we showed our signs. And then when we got there, we saw that some people were actually protesting outside of their cars, but they were also getting arrested. So I didn't want to risk it and I didn't get off, especially because my parents were already kind of hesitant of me going in the first place because they were worried worried about my safety. So I tried to do as much as I could, and I showed up with the signs. So I feel like this just really shows that activism can be shown in very different ways. And even when you aren't able to show up physically, you can still show up by, posting online, sharing videos, sharing links to certain fundraisers and petitions. So I feel like social media is definitely one of the main ways that people can try to show their activism. And yeah, thank you for listening to my story.